At first, you were like, I've never been more hurt. Oh my God.
Oh, I pull it down,
Takes
there's nothing.
his ass out. There's nothing there. We're like, you're fine.
Yeah.
2 days later, his entire leg and ass cheek is black.
It's black.
Matt Johnson, Jay McCarrol, welcome back to the Den of Geek studio,
Thank
South
you.
by Southwest,
Yeah, it's
2025.
great to be here again.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since I was here before.
So I've been coming down the South by now, I think about 9 years. I don't think I've ever seen an audience reaction to a film like you guys had last night. You talked a little bit about this being a very special moment for you and kind of a personal mission to get this movie to South by. Can you tell us a little bit about why?
Because when I was in Austin in 2017, it might have been 2016, I premiered 3 episodes of the TV show Nirvana the band. And I was here by myself, and I had never in my life seen a crowd react the way that they reacted to the TV show. And I went home and told my friends, we have to make something and screen it for this audience. You won't believe what I saw. And it was sort of like a legend that I had been to this screening and screened it, and it went well. Yeah, to them, like a legend. And so our goal from the very beginning was to come back with this film, just because there was something in the energy or the air in Austin where people were just receptive to this kind of filmmaking. And I'd screened Nirvana the band at a lot of festivals around the world, and there was nothing like this.
And Jay, what was that like for you? You saw the culmination of this this odyssey from Matt.
Oh, it's just amazing. I mean, and all of the fans that have stuck with us since the beginning, it felt like a gift that we could finally give to all these people that have stuck with us. Like, it's so bizarre that we were a television show that ran for 2 seasons, like years ago, and before that a web series like 17 years ago, and then our message boards and our small, modest little fan base online, they stuck with us and they showed up, they flew in from everywhere. So it was a big, big reward to be able to look at them and just give it to
cosplaying in the back as your
Yeah,
character.
yeah. I see that around Halloween in Toronto too. It's an odd costume because you just wear jeans with holes in them and a hat, but yeah, that was great.
So at what point did the time travel really start to excite you guys as you're kind of conceiving this film?
Well, okay, there's 2 parts to this. The first one is that we didn't originally intend to make a time travel film. Originally, we intended on shooting something that was quite different, but as you can tell, the movie kind of follows whatever happens in real life. And as we started shooting certain things in Toronto, we realized that there was an opportunity for us to return to the footage that we shot of ourselves when we were kids. And we didn't know if it was possible. We shot about 100 hours of this show when we were quite young, and we'd never looked at the raw footage before. Like, the way we used to shoot this show is we'd shoot for 1 day, I would edit it over the course of like a month, and then we'd release it, and then we never looked at the tapes again. And they were DV tapes. They were 60-minute DV tapes. And so we just had them all digitized and gave them to our editors, Kurt Laub and Robert Upchurch, and they watched all 100 hours and wrote the basics of what the film would be in the 2008 section from watching that footage, and they basically told us what they wanted us to shoot. And so it was a very interesting give and take with our editors where they said, here's what we want you and Jay to shoot, get us footage of you guys doing this. And so we just blindly went out and did it, gave it to them, and then they composed those crazy time travel sequences.
So when the two of you started to kind of go back into that footage, was there anything, so they brought something to the table to you guys, you said this looks great, but then when you actually went back into some of that footage you guys shot, did it help kind of recontextualize how you played each of your characters?
I mean, it was alarming to see the way we were with each other in the web series versus now, but we kind of got a handle on what we are, like from the get-go. And I think the main thing was that just the puzzle pieces of something that has like value that we laugh at. And when they went back and they found these moments, that just supersedes anything that we had pre-planned in terms of like a script or an outline or something. And that is different. I think with this project, the Nirvana the band universe, we are the most malleable with being able to just completely change directions based on what we're getting, whether it be going into our old footage or what this person said on the street is so fun and vulnerable and real that now we want to prop that up to have narrative importance. It's just, puzzle pieces coming together.
I was going to say there's something really exciting about how this film is edited with the footage from 2008 and then your modern day characters. There's something very emotional and kind of poignant too that you guys found within that footage. Could you talk a little bit about that coming through in the narrative? Because there's just amazing visual gags here with how you chose to edit this, but there's something kind of really deep to it as well.
I don't know that I have, up to this exact moment, considered what this character seeing himself as a young man would mean to him. And I guess that means the answer is nothing. That's so interesting, because I'm sure that for audiences, when they watch that, they can see the young version of these people and the old version, and they are bringing to it what their feelings are for, oh, don't they see how much they've changed, et cetera, et cetera. And I have to tell you that when I was in there, maybe I thought it was embarrassing, and my character's so mawkish when I'm young, but I didn't really see the growth from one to the next.
Jay is figuring out, he's having a big realization about what his young self is lamenting about, and it's helping to propel his storyline. You're feeling nothing with your character.
Well, what I'm thinking is, oh yeah, this guy's doing great.
Yeah.
And more so, this guy's going to become me. Mm-hmm. So that's great. Right? Like, he doesn't have the kind of self-reflection like I'm flawed. He thinks that he's on the right path and things are good and they're going to work out any time. And so when he sees his young self thinking the same thing, that continuum it's funny because the character ages so much in the film, but he views himself as a kind of ageless child.
He's doing okay, though. Like, to be fair, he was about 30 seconds away from landing the greatest skydiving
bingo
stunt in the world.
Right.
Realistically.
Exactly. And I think that you're keeping exactly with his philosophy. But you asked a deeper question, which is that how did it affect us to try to create those more emotional moments in something that is broadly comedic, where these characters are being faced with deeper questions about aging and failure and ambition. And again, to be totally honest, the credit has to go to the editors, Kurt and Bobby, who, although they're quite cynical and they, I think, are trying to be anti-sincere as much as they can, they wound up finding these moments that were teeing the real Jay and I up to have more emotional moments than we were prepared to have on set.
Actually shooting in the field and going out into public, a lot of crazy kind of stunts here. It obviously takes a village to produce a movie like this. Is there a moment that sticks out in both your heads for you guys actually being in public, shooting some of these scenes where it really kind of embodies and encapsulates how much this team we saw on stage last night loves this project?
Those scenes are always so painful that when you're shooting them and everybody's involved, what you're thinking is, I hate this and I never want to do this again. But I know that's not the spirit of your question. So what I'd say is, when we were shooting at the CN Tower and we had to shoot that double take where we walk up and I meet the young girl, and then we had to then shoot it again so that it would play for both timelines. And everybody, Malcolm, Carrie, Grayson, Jared, Nikolai, and Luca might have been there too, is all working so that Jay and I can create a moment
that is just 2 seconds.
That's 2 seconds long, and we need to nail it perfectly, and it needs to loop on itself in real time. So I know this, if you haven't seen the film, it's going to be quite confusing, but it's like we need to have a day replay itself as though it's the exact same day, and we need to have it happen seamlessly.
It's like the Groundhog Day ballet without any
actors.
planning, because it's real people. So you have like a small little window to actually pull it off and get Spider-Man, you know what I mean, with the girl on his shoulders. And, yeah.
So that was a great example of the ballet of our whole team working together. But was that uplifting moment? No, I was furious and I was in a horrible mood, and it was not pleasant. But in retrospect, I go, oh my God, that was a miracle, and I'm so grateful we were able to do it. But those things are so making a movie already is impossible. I've made movies where we control everything, right? Where everybody's an actor, where it's all extras, where it's like we control the set. That's already hard. To then take away the ability to control the world, and it's like, well, now you need to make a sci-fi movie, except where nobody knows they're in a movie and you need to shoot it in public, it was crazy at certain times. It was crazy.
And this might be all over the internet already. You kind of mentioned it last night, but you guys basically shot at Drake's mansion during an active criminal investigation. Did I get that correct?
Yes, you did.
There was a shooting at Drake's place that we found out while we were shooting the scene in the radio place with Roz and Mocha, our
So-
Toronto DJs.
And so Jay was wearing his famous Jay I'm a Celebrity outfit. And while we were there at the radio station, they say, oh, wow, there was just a shooting at Drake's
and there was
mansion.
a whole police cavalcade there, and so
we
we
just
were there in minutes. And so we went there, and we went right up to the yellow tape and brought our van, and we had our cameras out, and they were like, well, what do you want? And we're like, well, we're press. And they said, where's your credentials? We said, we're independent. And they said, go right on in. And we just went right up, and we walked right up next to where all the microphones are out in front of the chief of police, and we stuck our camera with them. And I guess we looked like news people, but until I started running up and down the street. Mm-hmm. But it didn't look like I was doing something wrong. It just looked like I was doing
weird.
something bizarre.
Yeah.
Jay, famous Jay. Fantastic. One of my favorite montages in the film. What was it like to play kind of a different side of that character?
Because Jay is this sort of pragmatic, archetypical, like, oh, shucks, I think this is too crazy, Matt. We, from the very beginning of our Nirvana the Band world, always wanted to give the possibility that Jay has a whole other capability of being like the most evil and out for himself. And that's kind of the most fun to play. This very just out for fame Jay, even though he's the one presenting the most reasonably balanced psyche, he actually could be the most dangerous.
You talked a little bit last night about some of the film entities in Canada helping fund this project. You didn't use outside financing, if I got that correct. What does it mean to the both of you to get not only that support from your country, but to be able to screen this and hopefully release it in a time when there's so much national pride in Canada right now? We came up from Toronto a couple weeks ago, and you can kind of feel it. It's palpable there. What does that mean to the both of you?
You know, we were pretty patriotic from a long time ago. I love Canada. I love being from Toronto. And it was, as you say, a point of pride to try to finance a film, especially of this scope, using only the Canadian government. There really were only two entities that financed it. It was Elevation Films, who advanced us the money we needed to close our gap, and Telefilm Canada. And that's quite rare. In fact, I don't know, somebody will correct me, but of movies that have been seen, I don't know if that's ever been done before for a movie at this level. And it was very challenging, but it's so great because hopefully it's providing a roadmap for other Canadians to make movies where they don't need to seek outside financing and really outside influence, because that's what really screws with you, is that you wind up beholden to people outside of your country. And not that I'm like a protectionist, but they have different goals. And in terms of what it meant to screen it for an American audience, well, that's our dream. Canada has a long history of trying to get the attention of the world for such a small country. Although it seems almost pathetic to admit, I think it's very true that although we're modest and pretty shy, getting any kind of international acclaim for anything we've ever done means a lot to us. Because outside of hockey, really, and weirdly, the BlackBerry phone, it's not like the world knows much about Canada as a cultural center.
It means the world. It gives a lot of responsibility for you to, step up your game and try to justify being given the platform and opportunity to do it. And also, we've been so shamelessly, very pridefully wearing our Canadianness baked into what our show is. And that's what also makes it feel so great to come to America to just be Canadian.
I wanted to ask about a potential third season of this, but as it kind of became apparent the last couple of days on the ground here, there's still a lot of love for the work you did on BlackBerry, which is an amazing film, and we had you in here talking about it a couple of years ago. That having so much success, this film getting the reaction it did last night. Why is it still exciting for the two of you to play in the episodic television format?
Oh, well, look, making movies is so difficult because you're trying to make a story that will sustain that much time. Jay and I joked constantly when we were making this movie, if this was an episode of television, this would be the easiest thing in the world to make. The thing about TV is that once you've done it enough, it's like you realize so much runtime gets eaten up by just the basics of having a story appear, right? The introduction of an idea, the next step of that idea, the resolution of the idea. You don't need to add much other than those three elements to get to the end of a story. And with a movie, it's not that way at all. And so it would be like a vacation to make a TV show now.
Yeah, there seems to be a collective agreement on what our conditioned expectations are of what TV comedy is. which is very lenient and it has a lot of patience. And seemingly now you make any movie and you have this tiny little target to hit, and it's really hard to fit everything you need to fit into just hopefully an hour and a half.
And you can't dither. Television is is a much more experimental medium, much more. I think that for people who first see Nirvana the band as a movie and then go back and watch the TV show, they're going to be blown away by how crazy risky the TV show is versus the movie that they already, I'm sure, thought was breaking boundaries. I consider the movie, when I see it, to be extremely grounded and tame compared to what we did in the TV show. The TV show, we were like, who cares? Let's just do whatever we want. It's a dispensable format. And that gives you a ton of freedom that film just doesn't give you at all.
Like my mindset going to the screen the film last night was this would be like kind of a beautiful end cap to something you guys have spent a pretty big chunk of your lives on. And that wasn't necessarily the case. Like, has it kind of reinvigorated your interest in this project? I know you talked a little bit about potential ideas for season 3, but has it, like, going through this process of making this kind of like reinvigorated you in terms of Nirvana the band?
It'd be so pleasant to work on that show. We're in a very lucky position that season 3 is already shot. Like we already filmed season 3.
Amazing.
And we were really just looking for a place to release it. I guess your question modified is, would we make a season 4 of the show?
You know, we're kind of lucky that the universe that we established with this a long time ago, what the guardrails are structured in a way that are lenient enough that it would be fun to expend all of the storylines that we could with kind of making lateral and slightly upwards movement with where this could go. But then I can picture us being fully happy and having a lot of fun in a season 5 doing something crazy and just completely evolving the show and risking it all. And we'd have no problems just getting wild with it.
It's a very fun project because it's a lot like Pinky and the Brain, where these characters can more or less do anything, provided they come home at the end of every episode. And so it's inexhaustible.
Yeah, there's not really, there's often times in shows where you can say, well, they had to end this because their storyline was done.
Right.
And we can sort of just keep on the treadmill and always reinvent some new way to go around it.
Or so we say. I mean, we've made a grand total of 16 episodes of this TV show. So, yeah, I'm sure
It's gonna be on forever.
I'm sure people who've made real shows that have been on 60 episodes are looking at this, laughing their ass off,
make
being like,
100.
these guys are so stupid.
Did they build the flux capacitor? I don't think so.
Aha. Well, you know what? I'm sure they have done Back to the Future parodies in other total hacks.
And now this is all
sitcoms.
canon.
You guys went
It's
all
all
in
canon,
with it.
too.
You
Yes,
guys
we
went all in
did.
with
Yeah,
it,
we went in. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Was there? There's so much great physical comedy in this movie.
Is there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd say so. Is there some moments that were like kind of really funny on set that stood out to you in terms of like you driving the RV or you?
Oh,
doing
you know what?
everything
I
you
would
did?
say anytime Jay or I hit one another, it's funny. And it's because we wear body microphones. And so the impact is like explosive. Like you're not hitting a body, you're hitting a microphone that then the condenser just explodes. And so those are always hilarious because we don't hear that when we shoot it. And so then when we watch it back and just the tiniest little tap is just huge.
And also when we emotionally hurt each other and we're having those.
That's about physical comedy.
I know, but oh, okay, yeah.
Well, no. Let's go down there.
Oh, okay.
Emotional
Thanks.
comedy?
the emotional.
The
The
emotional comedy?
The emotional comedy. Just in terms of hurting each other.
Yes.
Hurting each other physically, but hurting each other emotionally when it gets.
For laughs.
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
But it's also for revenge.
Yeah, the Machiavellian evil plotting and times that we get to just really eviscerate
Really
each
try
other.
to hurt one another
That's
as
my
much
favorite.
as we can.
Or
Me
just
too.
like when you're driving the RV, like how many times did you hit your head?
Or hit
Going
the
down
RV on
street?
something. That was.
Yeah, did you?
Oh, the worst I've ever been hurt in my life.
Yeah, this
was
is actually
when
a pretty interesting story.
we-
And this is in the
the
shot too.
we use when we return from 2008 to 2025, and the streetcar appears, and then Jay slams on the brakes, and I go flying. That was not like we don't have a stunt team. Like I just had to do that. I have never been hurt worse in my entire life.
So you can see him flying
I
forward,
fly
back
through the air.
back first.
In the air, I land, and my back, really my butt, hits the back of a steel chair, Jay's driving chair, and it's like all time stopped. and my entire left butt cheek.
He was
for a
writhing
month,
around
I was
without able to.
I couldn't even
make
breathe.
A sound.
I couldn't even breathe, and we have
We
all
thought
this
he
on
broke
camera.
his back or something.
I thought the same, and then my whole left butt.
Well, first
was purple.
Well, at first you were like, I've never been more hurt. Oh my god!
Oh, and I pull it down,
Takes
there's
his ass
nothing.
out. There's nothing there. We're like, you're fine.
Yeah,
2 days later, his entire leg and ass cheek is black.
it's black. And it was crazy. It was hard to describe the pain that I felt. It's funny. I don't think that really gets much of a laugh. I think it's actually people watching them like, yeah, sure. They crashed the car.
Totally,
he went
yeah.
flying. Who gives a fuck?
But it was the
For
biggest
me,
injury.
Like that's why in the script, when I wake up all those times, I keep saying I hit my ass. I came by that honestly because for some reason, I kept telling my friends, oh, I hit my ass. I really hit my ass, and showing them. And we just thought it was funny for me to say over and over how I hit my ass. And so that's why in the movie I say hit my ass 5 times in a row.
So when the characters
That's the truth.
when the characters realize they're in 2008,
Yes.
they pick up a newspaper and there's a disgraced celebrity on
Right.
that cover.
We did a lot of those.
Yeah, like was there a debate about which one to put on the
A
cover?
huge debate,
yeah.
and we will not,
Can't say
not share it with you. There was an insane debate, it was a production halting debate.
Really?
Yes, and that's all we will say.
And we'll not elaborate.
Yeah, we can't.
Next question.
Yeah, there was a production halting debate.
Wow.
I love this movie. Congratulations. I know
Thank
it's
you
been
so
such a
much.
long journey.
Yeah, thank you.
We're excited to see more. Season 3. Let's get it out there, guys.
Coming
Let's get
soon.
it out to the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
season 3 coming
Yeah.
soon. Thank you, Den of Geek, for speaking with us today, and we'll see you again in 2 years with our new film, right here. What's this place
In the
called?
Den of Geek.
In the Den of Geek.
In the JW Marriott. Room
Right.
213.